Spiritual healing in Parashat Re'eh. What is the difference between Tzedakah and charity based on Netivot, Shalom, and Parashat Re'eh? To give or not to give, my Tzedakah dilemma. The mitzvah of giving Tzedakah can be challenging at times. It seems that people asking for donation always manage to call in the most inconvenient times. For example, when I'm in the middle of writing and not prepared to slowly repeat the numbers on my credit card. Then there are the beggars who usually knock on doors during the evening hours. When my husband used to work at night shift, I didn't feel comfortable opening the door to beggars at night. On the other hand, being aware of the greatness of the mitzvah of giving tzedakah, I'm haunted by guilt feelings whenever I feel compelled to turn down those who reach out for support. Furthermore, I know very well on my own skin how it feels to be on the other side, to be the one who solicits for an excellent course, but being told to call back at a certain hour several times before eventually being rejected. Although being a solicitor myself makes me empathize with other solicitors to show my support, it also makes me less in a position to give to the innumerable good causes out there, because I have my own good cause that needs more support than I can ever afford. Yet it is a positive mitzvah to give tzedakah to help poor people. According to one's ability. One who hardens his heart and doesn't give violates a Torah command, which is Divine 15:7-11 in this week's Parashat. The Hebrew word for charity, tzedakah, means more than just that. Charity implies kindness performed from the goodness of one's heart, doing more than what is obligatory. Tzedakah, on the other hand, means justice, implying the obligation to help others. 10% of our income never belonged to us in the first place. Hashem entrusted us to be the custodian of this amount, to distribute it among the poor and use it to support worthy causes. When we keep this mitzvah of separating maaser, a tenth of our income, we are performing an act of justice by returning the money to its rightful owners. Why does the mitzvah of tzedakah outweigh all other mitzvot? According to Rambam, we are obligated to be more careful to perform the mitzvah of tzedakah than any other positive mitzvahs. Only by means of this mitzvah is the truth sustained and Israel established, as it states, with tzedakah shall you be established in Yeshayahu. Furthermore, Israel is only redeemed through the merit of tzedakah, as it states, Zion shall be redeemed through justice, and her returnees through tzedakah, also in Yeshayahu. What is so special about the mitzvah of tzedakah that it outweighs all other mitzvot? The root of the mitzvah of tzedakah is emunah, faith, that everything we have in truth belongs to Hashem. We're not the owners of anything. It is not what we maybe mistakenly think, my strength and the might of my hands that has accumulated this wealth for me. Therefore, when we give, we return to Hashem what truthfully belongs to Him. This explains why tzedakah means justice, the perpetual awareness that just as everything that belongs to a slave indeed belongs to his master, so does everything we think we have in truth belong to the master of the universe. And this is the root of Emunah. Since Emunah is the most fundamental principle in the Torah, the mitzvah of Tzedakah and Shabbat, which is all about Emunah, both outweigh all the mitzvot. A pleasant demeanor is prerequisite for fulfilling the mitzvah of Tzedakah. Parashat Re'eh teaches us that we must perform the mitzvah of Tzedakah with joy and good-heartedly and with joy. If we gave tzedakah with an unpleasant demeanor, we didn't establish the mitzvah as it states, "You shall give without hardening your heart." The Ma'or Shemesh explains that the reason we don't make a blessing on giving tzedakah is that the mitzvah of tzedakah must be performed with joy, and since people often give tzedakah in a begrudging way and therefore don't fulfill the mitzvah, we don't recite a blessing beforehand like we do with other mitzvot to avoid saying a blessing in vain. תהיה בך אביון מאחד אחיך באחד שעריך בארצך אשר השם אלוקיך נותן לך, לא תאמץ את לבבך ולא תקפוץ את ידך מאחיך האביון. If there be among you a needy person from one of your brothers in one of your cities in your land that Hashem, your God, is giving you, you shall not harden your heart and you shall not close your hand from your needy brother. כי פתוח תפתח את ידך לו והעוות תעביתנו די מחסורו אשר יחסר לו. What should you do? Rather, you shall open your hand to him and you shall lend him sufficient for his needs which he is lacking. נתון תיתן לו ולא ירא לבבך בתיתך לו, כי בגלל הדבר הזה יברכך השם אלוקיך בכל מעשיך ובכל משלח ידיך. You shall surely give him, and your heart shall not be grieved when you give to him. For because of this thing, Hashem, your God, will bless you in all your work and in all your endeavors. Rashi explains that some people suffer as they deliberate whether they should give or not give. Therefore it says, you shall not harden your heart. Others stretch out their hand to give, but then close it. Therefore it says, nor close your hand from your needy brother. If you do not give him, you will ultimately become a brother of the needy, meaning becoming needy yourself. This is based on Sifrei. The merit of the mitzvah of tzedakah engender cosmic and individual redemption. When we live with the emunah required for fulfilling the mitzvah of tzedakah, it will be natural for us to fulfill it with joy and a pleasant demeanor. We will moreover live a happy, carefree, and satisfied life without worries and fears of loss. When we realize that nothing belongs to us, we are free from fear and worry that it will be taken away from us. On the contrary, if we suffer a monetary loss, we will remember that Hashem has given and Hashem has taken. Grant us atonement for any sins we may have committed. Yet if we give with a grieving heart, we do not fulfill the mitzvah of tzedakah, since giving with a pleasant demeanor is not an extra added good intention to the mitzvah of tzedakah. Rather, it is the most essential part of the mitzvah. This is because emunah is the core of the mitzvah of tzedakah, whereas giving with a heavy heart is an expression of a blemished emunah. So if we don't give with a full heart, then it's considered as if we didn't perform the mitzvah of tzedakah at all. This explains why Israel is only redeemed through the merit of tzedakah. When we achieve the level of performing tzedakah to perfection, with a clarified faith that everything belongs to Hashem, it will bring about redemption for the community and for the individual. A person who gives a coin to the poor merits to receive the face of the Shekhinah, as it states, I will see your face with tzedek from the root of tzedakah, Tehillim 17:15. This is what it says in the Gemara, Baba Batra 10a. This applies even to a wicked person when he perceives with complete emunah that everything belongs to Hashem and God supervises all that happens to us. He is redeemed from his wickedness and is elevated to the highest level. EmunaHealing exercise for visualizing giving and receiving tzedakah based on Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, Jewish meditation. Close your eyes and take several deep breaths. Fill your lungs completely on the in-breath and empty them all the way on the out-breath. Repeat this a couple of times, each time breathing deeper and deeper. Let your mind wander to all your precious possessions, perhaps a special fountain pen or sophisticated lightweight multitasking tablets with the most updated paraphernalia. It could be your lovely house, a favorite dress, or a pair of golden earrings. Anything that is uniquely yours that you would never want to part with. See if you can envision how each beloved item really belongs to Hashem, and you are only his entrusted servant who has received permission to use these items to serve him. Breathe into the process of relinquishing your precious possessions to Hashem one by one. This isn't easy, and we can only do the best that we could do to at least get a glimpse of what the awareness that everything belongs to Hashem would feel like. After you've done your best to give up your personal ownership, imagine how Hashem is now giving each item back to you for you to use it to serve him. Visualize how you use your devices to promulgate Torah and kindness, and how you dress in honor of Shabbat and welcome guests into your home, making good use of the wealth with which Hashem blesses you. Now meditate on the 4 letters of Hashem's name. Visualize the shape of each of the letters. The small yud hanging in mid-air represents the first flash of wisdom. This letter is followed by the first hey, the analytic insight that fleshes out the flash of wisdom in concrete, practical ways. Now visualize the vav, the hook that connects the upper with the lower sfirot. At last, visualize the final hey, which brings everything down into this physical world. These 4 letters of the Tetragrammaton contain the mystery of Tzedakah. The first letter, Yud, denotes the coin that we want to give. This letter is small and simple, like a coin. The second letter, Hey, denotes the hand that gives the coin. Since Hey is the 5th letter of the alphabet, it has a numerical value of 5, alluding to the 5 fingers of the hands. The third letter, Vav, which has the form of an arm, denotes the arm reaching out to give. Furthermore, in Hebrew, the word Vav refers to a hook and has the connotation of connection, as the word for conjunction and is represented by the letter Vav prefixed to a word. Finally, the fourth letter, the final Hey, is the hand of the beggar who accepts the coin. This is the essence of charity on a physical level. Imagine that your hand is a Hey holding the coin represented by the small yud. Visualize how you stretch out your arm represented by the Vav to offer your tzedakah. Can you envision the poor person's hand reaching out to receive your tzedakah? Tzedakah can also be understood from a spiritual perspective. Hashem is the greatest donor, and the greatest tzedakah that He gives to us is existence itself. The yud again represents the coin, but this time the coin is not of copper or silver, but it is existence itself. Yud has the numerical value of 10, hence it alludes to the 10 sayings of creation. Imagine yourself reaching out your hand, represented by the Hey, to receive existence from Hashem. The greatest possible act of charity is God's given existence to us. Are you ready to open your hand to receive and claim your existence? Since we have no claim to existence, we cannot demand that God gives it to us as our right. Therefore, God's giving us existence is pure tzedakah. Imagine Hashem's hand, which holds the existence He wishes to give us, as the letter Hey. The Vav is His arm reaching out to us to give us existence. Finally, visualize the last Hey of the name as your hand, which accepts your existence. God even gives us our own hands through which we receive existence from Him. Visualize the 4 letters of the Tetragrammaton. Begin by contemplating the Yud, which is the smallest letter of the Hebrew alphabet, almost like a dot. Can you envision this Yud as the initial point of creation, as the 10 sayings that brought creation into existence out of nothingness? Now imagine the first Hey of the name. This is the level of the divine at which a vessel comes into existence to hold the abstract power of creation. Visualize Hashem holding the power of creation in order to give it to us. The opening at the top of the Hey is the channel from God, while the opening at the bottom is the channel to us below. Imagine the Hey both as a 5-fingered hand and as a channel for the forces of creation. Now, contemplate the Vav. Can you visualize God's power reaching out to us, wanting to give? The most important letter is the final Hey. This is our hand into which we receive what Hashem is ready to give us. This represents our ability to receive from God. The connection between the Vav and the Hey is extremely important. This is the connection between the giver and the receiver. To receive anything from God, we must make this connection. Visualize how the Vav of Hashem's name is reaching out to give, so to speak, interlinked with the final Hey, representing our hand to receive. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.